Dolores, Danielle smiles, their concern seems rehearsed. Camera lingers on a paper Jason slips into his pocket. Back to Dolores, garden bench. Dolores. They took me to a place with beige walls and plastic flowers and told me, just a few days. They closed the door and walked out like I was already gone. I sat in a room with no pictures, no clock, no names on the walls, only a bed I never chose. They'd signed forms. They'd whispered lies about my mind. Anger rising, then controlled. I wasn't confused. I wasn't done. Int. Nursing home, montage, silent. Small shots, a frustrated nurse, a clipboard, an empty hallway, Dolores staring at a calendar with no dates circled. Back to Dolores, close up. Dolores. They thought age meant silence. They thought because my hair is silver, I wouldn't see their hands in my life. They thought they'd gotten away with stealing my house, my papers, my name on bills. But when the light is low and the mind is still clear, you remember everything. Soft laugh, more sorrow than humor. So I started to write. Not poems. Not prayers. Facts. Dates. Account numbers. Deeds. Names. My lawyer's number, Monica Reeves, she hadn't heard from me in years, but she kept my file like a lifeline. I wrote like I was building a map back. Cut to, close-up, notebook pages, handwritten. Bank, joint account, still active. Deed, Dolores Mayfield, 123, Willow Lane. Monica Reeves, 555-123-4567. Back to Dolores. Dolores. Monica answered before lunch the next day. She came like a storm. I told her everything. She said, we start by proving you're still you. So we did. Capacity evaluations. Emergency motions. Paperwork until the system started to bend. Quiet pride. We froze the account Jason used to buy his fancy mortgage. We filed to revoke the power they'd forged. And mostly, we made sure there were witnesses. I wasn't just fighting with papers. I was making people look, neighbors, the bank, the court. Flashback, int. Law office. Rainy day. Monica, mid-40s, fierce, slams a folder on the desk. Dolores watches with steady eyes. Back to Dolores, on bench. Dolores. When Monica came to the facility, she walked in with a briefcase and a temper that had teeth. The staff went nervous. Jason showed up too, 3 hours in the rain, and tried to bluff his way through. But his papers cracked when Monica asked questions he couldn't answer. The house deed still said my name. The bank still answered when I called. She smiles, small, satisfied. Leaving that day felt like taking my first real breath in weeks. Not a parade or a speech, just a slow walk out the front door with a bag Monica had packed. Freedom tasted like cheap coffee in a truck stop and the sun on the windshield. Dolores, CONT'd. But I didn't go back to that house. I didn't want to climb the stairs that held every memory. I didn't want to pry open a door so I could stare at the rooms he'd meant to own. Monica filed for what the law calls a partition sale. An order that forces a resolution when cohabitation is poisoned. Jason had been living in a home he didn't own legally, and the court listened. Look of finality. I had a choice then, something all those years of small sacrifices had been buying me. I could pursue a punishment that would eat at me as much as him, or I could reclaim my life and let the law do the rest. I chose the latter. Cut to, montage, new life. Dolores signing papers with Monica, meeting neighbors at a small house across the street, planting a small pot of flowers on a porch. Back to Dolores, close up. Dolores. We sold. We divided. I bought a small place next door, not to gloat, but because the mornings felt right there. I wanted to be where I could see him leaving. I wanted to see if the man who once needed me could look back and feel the weight of what he'd done. Soft, not quite triumphant. When Jason stepped outside and saw me across the lawn, he looked like a man who'd discovered a ghost. For a moment his face was everything I'd waited to see: recognition, shame, regret. He opened his mouth to explain, then closed it. You can't explain away what you did to your mother. Beat, she leans forward a bit. But I didn't make him beg. I didn't make him suffer in front of the children. I let the law and time and the neighbors' gossip do the work. The hardest part of revenge is when you realize the thing you wanted most was never to hurt him, it was to be seen. Dolores, softly. Now, on my porch with a kettle on the stove and a small garden, I watch him go to work and come back. He sees me. He knows I know. And every day he opens the door he remembers that the woman he underestimated is still here, alive, stubborn, and steady. Beat, she looks straight at camera. I paid for him with my youth. I gave him a life. I taught him how to stand. But if you mistake kindness for weakness, if you try to erase the person who raised you, don't be surprised when she comes back in ways you never expected. Be surprised if she forgives you. Be most surprised if she doesn't. Dolores, V.O., final line, quietly powerful. I didn't need to break him. I needed to remind him what he already owed. And now, when he opens that door, he sees the woman who raised him, not a ghost. Not a victim. A witness.